All right, anti-government protests in Iran are growing throughout the country more than a week since they began. Human rights groups say dozens of protesters have been killed, and President Trump has threatened U.S. intervention if Tehran continues to crack down. So for more on these protests, I want to bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer. Of course, she has reported many, many times from inside Iran, and she joins us this morning from London to talk about this. So Liz, as you know, getting any reporting out of Iran is incredibly difficult. What can you tell us about these protests? They do happen periodically, and sometimes there's always a sense, it always feels, Liz, you tell me how wrong I am about this, but it always feels like, okay, this is the moment. This is potentially an Arab Spring-like moment where we see, you know, not just a couple of hundred, not just a couple of thousand, but hundreds of thousands of people, you know, protesting all across the country. And perhaps this is the moment that people who've been watching and waiting for the Ayatollahs to fall, this is that moment. But it never really ends up being like that.
It's much more complicated than that. There are the Ayatollahs, and then there's a whole civilian government, and most importantly, there is an armed military, the Revolutionary Guard. And people, to be honest, think that if that all collapsed, which, you know, may be the fantasy for a lot of activists, it's very dangerous, because then what? You know, day two is always the most dangerous day, if not day 3 or 4. So it's people and the regime, I think, understand that they are perpetually sort of on the edge of the abyss. These particular demonstrations, which have erupted mostly in the south of and west of the country, in big cities and little ones, are not so huge compared to the massive uprisings you referred to, 2022, 2023, the most recent ones. But they are persistent, as you said. You know, this is the second week, and they are still growing as far as we can tell. The longer they go on, the greater the threat to the regime, which is really not sure how to react. We've seen them, on the one hand, trying to appease people with cash handouts to help with the crazy inflation, crazy prices for food. And on the other hand, they seem to have given the okay to the security forces to shoot tear gas and, in some cases, apparently live rounds. So they're not quite sure which way to jump, and for sure they're spooked.
Incredible context as always, Liz, specifically as you point out, day 2 is always the hardest one. It's so true, just not here what we're talking about in Iran, but even now in Venezuela and potentially other places as well. Liz Palmer reporting from London. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you.